Hey everyone, it's Dr. Arlene Diamco, integrative physician, pediatrician, and cranial osteopath, and also host for the Healing Through Art Summit. I am popping in here. It's about my regular podcast time, but I wanted to do more of an impromptu pop in and just tell you a little bit more about my background and my story and how I grew up with music. So, in case a lot of you may not know, I grew up playing piano and violin. I wasn't the best at practicing, but I was good enough to get into things. My brother was the one that was like really, practiced a lot and was able to play like multiple instruments. But it helped me be more familiar with rhythm and vibrations and frequency. And also, I had so much fun. It took me places I wouldn't have been able to go, or probably wouldn't have experienced in the same way had I not been playing. I had the most amazing violin teacher. She was so patient and kind, and the way she taught music was really to help not just to play technique, but to develop the whole person. So to play in a way, to teach people to play in a way that it really helps them get in touch, connect with their soul, and help to express that out. She didn't care like what level you were. And we were able to travel through Europe when I was somewhere between 5th and 6th grade. And we church, the church that he played in. So I have like really warm and memorable experiences playing violin, and also lesser, not as much as piano, but it definitely took me places, because then I was able to play in the Atlanta Symphony Youth Orchestra, and then again through college at Harvard, I played a little bit, and then it started to fizzle as I got busier, like in my academic study. They left me. Nowadays I can't play like I used to, but what the depth of what I learned is what I'm talking about. That never left me, because I feel like it helped me develop the abilities to become the physician that I am today. And that is also what I learned through osteopathy. Because the first conference I went to for cranial osteopathy, which is pretty subtle, works with the rhythms of the body, I didn't know if I was going to be able to feel anything, because I had that, well, it's really hard. You might be able to feel it at the conference, but then it's hard to continue it after that. But I didn't feel that. And the first time I got in touch with those more subtle rhythms in the body, we have so many rhythms, our heart rate, our breath, EKG, which is your heart, the EEG, like with the brain waves. But there's a lot more subtle rhythms, like every part of the body, every organ, every tissue has its own feel and its own rhythm. And so I think of it like an orchestra. It's like if the organs were like different instruments, and the different tissues too, kind of different instruments, they have to be in tune with each other, and they also have to be in rhythm with each other. So then you get the sense of like a bigger perspective, like looking at the whole, instead of like breaking it down like we tend, where it's like so specialized. But because sometimes I'll feel that, well, an organ feels relatively okay on its own, and this is where we see, well, the labs are fine, but it doesn't feel integrated with the whole. And then that's when a person might say, they don't feel quite right, but no one can find out what's wrong with them. And they have no diagnosis. Sometimes people get upset. There's no diagnosis, but they don't feel good. For me, that's okay, because I'm dealing with the whole, and looking at the whole, and listening to the rhythms of the body. And so there's so many layers to that. It's like, how does it sound? How does it feel? Is it in a cohesive way? What is the body's song singing, or is it not singing? Is it out of tune? Or does it need to just like have more spark, like just more expression to it? And so for me, this is why it's so easy for me to see and feel why the arts are so important in healing. But there's actually so much research in it as well, from music to dance to writing. They did a writing experience for HIV patients. They just wrote 30 minutes a day for 4 days. They did labs at 2 weeks, 3 months, 6 months. Very quickly, right away, that 2-week labs, their viral loads went down. The viral load went down. That is spectacular. I don't think, in that study, they didn't have them continue the writing exercise. So slowly over the 3 to 6 months, the viral load started to creep back up. But what if you continued to just participate in some sort of art and creativity? And there are so many studies. They have music, they have people listening to music for 20 minutes, and they find that their blood pressure goes down, their respiratory rate calms down. This is like when they're feeling anxious and things are like more in fight or flight. Their pain decreases. They found that, it's not even just music, but the visual arts as well. All of these things will be like overlapping. They found in post-op patients, so people that just had surgeries, they're in the hospital. They found that if they either guided imagery or they had some sort of picture or landscape in their room. You know how some hospital rooms are very sterile looking. Okay, so they just had, pictures, landscape, nature pictures in the hospital rooms. And in those patients, it was just like in the guided imagery. Those patients stayed in the hospital less, and their need for narcotic pain medicine went down. That is absolutely phenomenal. And we will see these kinds of things like repeated in different kinds of arts. They did a study with breast cancer survivors who did dance for, I think, like 12 weeks, and they had such greater shoulder movement. They had better quality of life. They physically felt better. They mentally felt better, and then socially they felt more connected. They had better body image because of all of the trauma of what they've been through. A lot of times that's a big issue. And it was dance, and that helped them connect and help them in so many ways. So we already have the research of how profoundly healing and helping that art can be. Why are we not using it more? Why are healthcare practitioners not incorporating it more into their practice, into the hospitals? I know they are doing it some, but we are not using it to the extent that we can. And because of the way that it helps you get in touch with your soul and your humanity, can help to heal you in so many layers, multidimensional healing. And for me, I also feel that it gives us so much hope for healing humanity, because we have a ways to go here. And if we could incorporate this healing through the arts, which everyone has access to, then we could do a lot more good in the world. And it was a few years ago, I had this idea of doing a healing arts concert where, like, I'm not even just like playing like the music, but I wanted to immerse people in all kinds of art, where they could experience it, where they could partake in it, and all different forms, from the visual arts to hands-on things to movement to music. And it would just be a room of healing. And I think that you could create that for yourself, to make that space in your home and make it an environment that is conducive to healing. That's what I've done in the office, and I know a lot of people will comment when they come in. They're like, I already feel better just walking in here. This doesn't look like a doctor's office. It doesn't look like a clinic or a hospital. And I think that we could incorporate that. We could do so much more, really raise the bar of what we're doing in health. And I was also talking to Travis Carr, who's a ceramics, high school ceramics teacher. He spoke on day one of the conference, of the summit. And we really wanted to create this grassroots movement. And he's like, I'm on board 100, 200%. He's like, you organize it and I'll show up. And that's what I want to do. Is like, I put the work in to help organize. So where your job is to show up and choose to heal, to choose to move humanity forward in a direction that has more love. More love is okay. So thank you so much for being here. I will see you very soon. We have day 4 coming up in the summit. If you haven't signed up already, please do. It's healingthroughoartsummit.com. Every day is free for 2 days, and there is a premium option, which we will donate 25% of proceeds to go through the Artist Relief Fund for 2020. So I love you all tons, and thank you all for showing up with me here. Take care.